We are at Clover Valley Vinegars, correct?
Clover Valley Farms.
Clover Valley Farms.
That's our brand, so yeah.
Okay, and could you tell me who you both are?
My name is Jeff Hall.
Jeff Hall?
And I'm Cindy Hale.
And we are married.
Oh, well,
We
congratulations.
have different last names just by one letter, which is eternally confusing to all governmental agencies.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
So we are in the Superior Business Center in the commercial kitchen. This is the space that you work in and share with several other businesses, as far as I understand.
Yep.
How many days a week do you work out of this
We're
location?
in here every
1 or 2
Tuesday.
days.
And
Okay.
then, as needed, we'll do an extra day as needed.
What kind of fruits were you growing?
Currants,
Okay.
Juneberries. We now have, in terms of small fruits, currants, Juneberries, elderberry, aronia, highbush cranberry, honeyberry, rhubarb. I think I got it all. And then we do tree fruits as well, mostly apples, and we're starting to build our capacity for cherries and
Wow.
pears and plums. And then we do some wild harvesting of wild cherries. We also have pastured sheep now.
Oh, wow.
And then we raise some meat rabbits that'll be showing up at Martha's Daughter's restaurant in the old Coney Island on Superior Street.
Oh, interesting.
And at the end of this month, she's going to be opening her restaurant, so we're excited about that. She's going to have our rabbit on the menu. As I think it was 2009, we started dabbling in vinegars, and we thought, oh, this rhubarb vinegar tastes good. We should try it at a farm market. We find farm markets are a great place to do market research.
Okay.
And people loved it, and so we thought, wow, could this be, because we didn't want to do jams and jellies and sauces because everybody does that.
Sure.
It's hard to break out in the noise there. But nobody's doing vinegars. We were home brewers, so that kind of what led us to vinegars.
Okay.
So let's try it, see if we can make something that tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
And so once we had that initial response, we wrote and then got a 2-year grant from the USDA Value-Added Grant Program to do a 2-year market feasibility and technical research project to see what would it take to bring a business like this. Do we have enough market? What does that market look like? How will we access it? All that kind of stuff. I was with the University of Minnesota Duluth for 20 years. I was a research ecologist, and I was in what is called a soft money position. Basically, I had to write grants to support my own salary as well as my program. So I got pretty good at grant writing, and so I knew there were farm grants out there, and so we hooked up with a consultant who helped us apply for this federal grant, and then we got it, and then he really helped facilitate the 2-year study that we did, and we're so glad we did it.
Now, what time frame are we talking about?
2012 to 2014.
Okay, so you'd already been in business for quite some time at that point.
Right, at that, as we were starting to get more and more fruit and herb production, we were moving away from the chickens because we really we wanted this to become a family supporting business.
Okay, so now when did you start bottling and?
So our first wholesale our first kind of test market, that rhubarb vinegar that we did that we sold at the farm market, that was 2009.
Okay.
And then we kind of did a little bit, and because you could sell it under something acidic under the cottage food laws, we could kind of keep making small batches and testing them out. And that. So we were doing that really to test the waters for this whole concept of culinary fruit vinegars. And people were responding to it. So that kind of started us down that road. And the idea was to really do a conference, bring in a lot of experts from different areas to explore the technical aspects of what it would take to do this. What's the market for specialty fruit vinegars look like? What are the, where is it? How would we access those customers? And it was a really, really nice comprehensive study. And so at the very end of the feasibility study, we launched our first line of wholesale products, the rhubarb and the Juneberry currant vinegars.
All right.
And because we wanted to start wholesaling, that's where you really need to jump away from the cottage food bill into an inspected facility.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what you're producing. Once you start wholesaling it, you need to be in an inspected facility.
Now you're in a shared facility here.
Right.
Does that make inspections complicated for you?
It can. One of the really, really critical pieces of having a shared space is that all the tenants have to be very cognizant of what the requirements are for other tenants, so
Mhm.
that you're not doing something or leaving the kitchen not clean. So when I come in to process, I have to spend 2 hours cleaning.
Sure.
That doesn't go over so well.
Right.
Luckily, the management of the Superior Business Center and all the tenants really get that. I mean, to build a facility like this, or even a small inspected facility, especially when we were just starting out, it was a non-starter.
Right.
There was no way we could have done that.
Now, may I ask how much your grant was from the USDA?
So the feasibility study was $27,000,
Okay.
and it included unpaid. We spent a lot of time which we didn't get
Right.
compensated for. The $27,000 was really to compensate the technical experts that we were bringing in for the
Okay.
study. So we spent a lot of time, and we're really glad we did it because we learned a heck of a lot that we didn't have any clue about. We would have made
Sure.
some big assumptions that were completely off base.
Mhm.
And as it was, once we did launch the business, we found out that some of our assumptions based on technical experts still weren't quite accurate. So we've been really kind of narrowing in on certain things. One example is we thought we would do closer to a 70% wholesale and 30% retail in terms of how we split our income. And it's really pretty much flipped. We're doing almost 70% of our business retail directly to consumers at farm markets, special events, things like
All right.
that, and then about 30% to the wholesale market.
Okay.
A really important part of our marketing is being in our in the stores that we wholesale to,
Okay.
doing in-store demos and introducing us not just to their customers but to their staff.
Do you still sell fresh fruit, or is everything processed?
No, very
bottled?
little.
Okay.
This year we did sell some apples at the farm market, but
Yeah.
we basically use everything we produce in
Sure.
our vinegar products.
So you have specialty products.
Yep.
Hard to compete against a large farm, I suppose, selling fresh produce or fruit.
Right,
But you can make a specialty item that no one else sells. And,
right. And so we get not only a little bit more margin on it, but it's shelf stable.
right.
So once I bottle a thing of vinegar, it's good for 2 or more years.
Or in my house, 10 years.
Yeah, well, yeah. Truth is, it hasn't been sticking around that long. So
Right, right.
we're moving product pretty much as fast as
Okay.
we can.
Now, when did you move into the Superior Business Center?
We moved in here in the spring of 2014, and
Okay.
that enabled us to launch our first wholesale line in the summer of 2014. So we
All right.
launched both the Juneberry and the rhubarb vinegars in the summer of 2014, immediately after, about 3 months after we started working here.
Okay.
The shared kitchen, we had to make sure that we knew what the expectations were of how we operate. There's dry storage, there's freezers, there's walk-in coolers, getting to learn how we schedule time in the kitchen so that we're not here when somebody else is here. There are several vendors here that we can kind of cohabit with, because you can kind of see we're not filling the kitchen
Sure.
right now. So it's not unusual that we're in one bay and somebody else is in another bay. And
How many businesses are you sharing with here?
Right now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, wow.
I think. And then in the end of October, Conley's Tom and Jerry Mix comes in for like 3 weeks, and they're just packing truckloads of Conley's Tom and Jerry batter mix for the holidays. So
Okay.
yeah, and I know there's still room for more tenants. And
Now, the purpose of this facility is a business incubator.
correct,
Start out small, grow big.
right, and
Yeah.
get out.
Yes, my understanding is there's a time frame. It's
Right.
somewhat flexible.
Yep.
But what is your game plan?
Well, we're right at that because we moved in 2014, and so this is our 3-year mark right
Right.
now, and they've given us an extension into 2018. We're actively looking for properties to probably buy. We're looking at all 3 options: leasing a space, buying a space, or building at our farm. And they all have their pros and cons and financial
Sure.
implications. And we just haven't found the right combination yet. Luckily, because the Superior Business Center isn't super full right now, they have a little bit of flexibility in order to extend our lease until we can find
Yep.
another, but that's the goal, is to get us out in the next year or two.
So this was an affordable alternative
Oh,
to
yeah.
get you going?
There's no way we could have launched this business without this space or a space like it. Absolutely none.
Did you get any funding from the Entrepreneur Fund or?
The Entrepreneur Fund assisted us with some of the startup, how to navigate the initial inspections. We definitely took advantage. The Douglas County Revolving Loan Fund offers really low interest working capital and lines of credit to tenants, and we took advantage of that. We got a $15,000 working capital grant from them, and then a $10,000 line of credit. Because when you're starting up a business, you're spending a lot more than you're bringing in. You're buying equipment, you're buying pallets of bottles, and it adds up. Just last month, we finished paying back the $15,000 working capital loan, so that felt really good. And now we're going to start working on the $10,000 and get that paid down, hopefully end of this year, middle of next year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
it
very
really
good.
feels great to be at that point where we're no longer accruing debt, we're starting to pay it off.
Right.
And then once we get to that sweet spot of paid off debt, then we're going to look a little better to a bank if we need funding to purchase or renovate or build a site.
Well, I assume that you had to have a business plan when you talked the Entrepreneur Fund, the Revolving Loan Fund.
And they actually, when we first started leasing here, we did not have a functional business plan. We had this business plan that we got from the grant, but it was like, as all federal reports are, 80 pages long and unintelligible to a banker or somebody else. So that one of the things the Entrepreneur Fund helped us do when we moved in here is take that big monstrosity and turn it into a more functional business plan that really answered the questions that bankers and investors are interested in.
You're not certain where you're going to land next year.
Right.
What are the chances that you might open up shop in Superior?
As good as anything. I mean, we're really looking at everything. Superior is, as one of my friends says, it's just a bridge, get over it.
Exactly.
So Superior has some definite pluses to it, and so we're looking at everything at this point.
In the event that a property owner sees this video and is interested, how many square feet do you need?
We need about 1,000 square feet.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
You'd have to have a loading dock?
Yeah, because we'd have to be able to unload and unload pallets.
Okay.
So whatever that means, sometimes it's a loading dock, sometimes it's a truck with a
Forklift.
lift. Yeah.
Okay.
Or we have a pallet jack that can get a pallet off the truck.
Now, supposing you were talking with someone who had a great idea for a product that they wanted to sell, a budding entrepreneur. You've walked that walk. I'm sure you've had a few sleepless nights in the process.
Oh yeah.
What would your advice to them be?
Do some research. Look at the market. Understand it. We're producers, manufacturers, and distributors.
Okay.
So that's really, one would think, it's an outside viewer would say that's three separate businesses. The grower is one, the manufacturer is another, the distribution is another. So we really jumped off the cliff when we started this. We really went in whole hog. And we're really pleased and happy that it's taking off. That was never a guarantee. But the 2 years that we took to do a thoughtful, researched, data-based study of our market was really what made the difference. I guarantee you we would have failed if we hadn't done that. So take some time.
Sure.
Find an expert that will help you. Find the Development Association folks that will help you do that preliminary look at your market to see, this is a great idea to me, but does it have legs as a business? Because then when you do make a choice, you're going to have a much higher probability of succeeding.
Okay. What has been your biggest mistake so far?
Giving our customers too many choices. So when we started, I think we had 16 different vinegars. So we had rhubarb infused with dill, basil, garlic, red chili. I think we did some other ones. So we had like 16 different vinegars.
Sure.
And after the third or fourth one, customers would just throw up their hands. They're all great. I don't know what to do, and they walk away in confusion. So we've tightened up our offerings. We still offer about 6 to 8 different varieties, and then we do special runs of really pretty stuff for the holidays. That's one of the things we're working on right now is getting some of the really pretty stuff ready for the holidays.
Do you mind giving me a tour of your facility and the space that you're using here?
Yeah, so if you turn around right here, this is the primary area that we use. It's a really nice prep station, so we can set up our vinegars. We're setting up, they're doing infusions, so they're adding herbs to vinegars, and then we're filtering and bottling. These are some of the specialty vinegars that we're getting bottled for the holiday season. So we have apple wine vinegar with hot chilies, another apple wine vinegar with fresh herbs, and an elderberry vinegar with fresh herbs. And
All hand bottled?
yeah, everything's done by hand here. So we do everything in small batches. So this is probably not something we would actually buy because it's pretty spendy, but we love it here. It's a steam kettle. So this whole jacket is filled with water, and it gets hot, and so people will use this to make soups and things like that.
Sure.
We use it for pasteurizing our shrubs. So we need to get that to a certain temperature and then filter it out, and it's a really efficient way to do that.
Okay.
Over here is the dishwashing station. That's why it's loud.
Yeah. Gotta have that.
Gotta have that for sanitizing, not just cookingware, but for sanitizing our bottles before we bottle everything. This is a shared walk-in cooler.
Okay, so I presume you have a little portion that's just yours?
Every tenant has kind of a dedicated portion that they use. Same thing with the walk-in freezer. I have more of it. Yeah, and it does really ebb and flow. You know, sometimes we have more, sometimes Nicole has more, sometimes Conley's, Tom and Jerry's, like it's falling out of the freezer. They're so full. And then back here, this is the clean dry storage section. You see the little blue lines on the floor. Those are individual units. So when a tenant comes in with the base rental, that you get one of these squares, and then you can rent more. I think we have 3. I think Nicole has 3, and then there's the Sunspot and a couple of chocolate guy down there. So the nice thing about it is the space is flexible. As you know, when we started, we had 1 space, and then we needed more, and now we needed more, and now we're kind of at our maximum.
Sure. Seems that you have a good working relationship with the other tenants.
Yeah, and that's really important. You gotta do that. So people skills are still important, even when you're in the kitchen.
Of course.
Vinegar processing requires acetation requires really specific temperature and ventilation.
Okay.
And so we rent this extra room that is dedicated for our vinegar. So we have aging barrels over there.
Oh wow. Are these old wine barrels or whiskey barrels?
Yeah, we use old wine barrels that have been inoculated with the mother of the vinegar. And so we're storing some rhubarb wine in there until we get to it. Pallets of bottles.
All right.
And this is really where the magic happens. So we get the wine back from White Winter Winery in 5-gallon carboys, and then everything happens in 5-gallon buckets.
Okay.
So we will mix the wine with the mother, label everything, and then as it becomes more acidic, we add more wine until a bucket is full, then we let it finish. We're testing all the while using the acid titrations. And then when it's done here, it gets filtered and then moved into the dry storage room where it'll get bottled or used as an ingredient for others.
So you're fermenting it in bulk out here,
Right.
and then you bottle it in the other room?
Yep.
Okay.
And from harvesting fresh fruit to having a bottled, ready-to-go vinegar is about a year on average.
Oh, wow.
So what we're selling now is vinegar made from last year's fruit.
So you had a substantial startup time.
Yes, and that's you know, again, it totally depends on the product you're working on. We had a much longer startup time than others because, you know, we weren't as good at it 3-4 years ago as we are now.
Sure.
And but it still took a year.
Uh-huh.
Our goal is to be at 1,000 gallons of production annually. We're
Okay.
about halfway there.
Okay.
And-
And how many bottles does that translate into?
A 5 ounce, well, okay, a gallon is 128 ounces.
Yeah.
And our standard wholesale volume is 5 ounces. So you do the
Okay,
math.
so
and
about
you tell me.
25 or so.
A lot. Yeah.
And how many do you sell in a case? I see a box over
Box
here.
is a 12.
Okay. So this
12
is a
pretty.
standard
so
box.
So so we do vinegars, and then we also do this product called shrubs, which are really, really popular, especially as the you know, artisanal brewing and vintners. Vicre Distillery uses our mint shrub. We sell a lot of the shrubs.
So that's a flavoring agent?
It's not, well, yeah, kind of. I mean, this one, the apple rhubarb, it's apple cider, our apple cider, and our rhubarb vinegar.
Okay.
And so we'll blend them. And then the rhubarb, here's the rhubarb mint. The mint, it's again our rhubarb vinegar, this time infused with fresh mint, which we also grow. So that's our thing. We grow all the fruit and all the herbs that go into all of our products.
Okay.
The only thing we buy is honey and a little bit of sugar that we need for sweetening in the shrubs.
Are you selling any of these products in liquor stores?
Not yet. We haven't made that. I mean, that's definitely an area where we could grow. But even the co-ops and the grocery stores now have mixer aisles.
Oh, okay.
And we do really well there because people are, you know, they're starting to look there as well for mixers.
Okay.
Yeah. We're selling product as fast as we can make it.
All right.
And so our quote product development and recipe development time is January, February. So right now we've got our heads down. We're finishing the summer show season. We're getting ready for the holiday show season. Look out, baby! Here we come.
Okay. Good for you. Well, thank you very much for the tour. This has been very instructive.
Oh, great!
I learned a
Awesome.
lot. Thank you.
My pleasure.